Here we go, what we saying. Day 3 of the 90 days where we're literally just posting every day, giving you guys the facts and the feelings about knees. So today we're going to be going through how to get rid of tight calves, hamstrings and hips. Well, any area in general. But to be honest, like if athletes have tight calves, hamstrings and hips, which is usually the case if they're footballers, then they are a ticking time bomb. They're literally waiting for an injury to happen. And this is what I said in my Instagram video that I made the other day. So what we're going to do is show you exactly the principles behind how to get more mobile. So yeah, you can apply this to any part of your body, but we're going to talk about calves, hamstrings and hips, and the hips are a little bit different considering they are a different kind of joint. So there'll be a little bit of a more explanation on that. So first thing is that if an area is tight, it's more likely to tear. This is why I say that athletes that are tight are a ticking time bomb, because let's look at Neymar here, for example. His ankle, this was the first injury that he had that then led on to the next injury, led on to the next injury, led on to the next injury. And here, you see how he gets into this position and he completely rolls his ankle like that. So if he is super, super tight and he gets put into this position, that means the stuff in here is more likely to tear. Obviously, this is a lot of force going through that, but I actually train this area specifically. I put my ankles into this position so that when I go into a game and something like this does happen, it's less likely to end in an injury. Obviously, it still can end in an injury. But if I get strong in the gym, in these kind of positions, in the long range stuff, then it's less likely for me to get injured actually in a game. I bet you on my life that Neymar wasn't doing the ankle drills that I do in the gym. And if he was, I can't tell you that it's going to prevent this, but I can tell you that he's more likely to be more resilient against something like this. If an area is tight, it's more likely to tear, and you intuitively know this. Think of someone that's stiff and rigid, like they are more likely to have injuries. And this is one of the biggest issues in football, because especially in the lower levels, like obviously non-league and the higher levels as well, to be honest, all throughout it's pretty crazy. Like people think like mobility is like stretching like 5 minutes before a game, like stretching 5 minutes after, but like most people realistically, they barely do any kind of warm-up. They do some stretching here and there, then they do a tiny bit of a cool down at the end, and then they go down the pub for a pint after the game. Like it's not exactly the greatest thing ever. So that's why you see so many people tight. I haven't had a single athlete come into the gym that can do a flat cable pancake. If people can do a flat cable pancake, their groins are going to be so much more protected and they can be so much more mobile. So that's the standards that I want people to hit, is get to these elite mobility standards, not just flexibility but strength through the ranges. And like I say here, like sport isn't fixed. Neymar didn't predict that he was going to get into this ankle position like this, but it just happens in sport. You get put into positions which you don't think you're going to be put in. The sport isn't fixed. You can be pushed into certain positions. You can fall, you can slip, you can do all kinds of things, which is why we need to be prepared for all different type of ranges and not just the range which we think we're going to be in football. So then it goes to like, why am I tight? And the reason you're tight is because you're weak. And you might be thinking like, what? Like, no, I'm not weak. Like I'm doing the box squats, I'm doing the trap bar deadlifts, and that's exactly what I mean, because I mean that you're weak in stronger ranges of motion. Our mind is thinking about survival. Our mind is thinking about protecting us. Like that's its job. So it gets tight in an area when we're weak there. For example, with the knees, if we don't do any training in the deep range of the motion, which is the majority of people, we do trap bar deadlifts, we do Bulgarian split squats, mid and short range, but we don't do any of the deep squats, we don't do the ATG split squats, we don't do the couch stretch, we don't do the reverse Nordics. That means that our knees are going to go tighter. The areas around the knee are going to go tighter because we don't have strength in these deep ranges of motion. So because we're weak in that bottom range of the motion, our mind, our body is not going to let us go there. So no matter how much stronger you get in the hips and trap bar deadlifts and the jumping and this kind of stuff, and you're producing loads of force up top, but then you're weak in different ranges of motion, your body literally won't let you get there. You'll get tight, you'll get weak, and you'll snap. This is the thing that I see over and over and over and over. People are like, yeah, I'm trying to increase my power. I'll go, what are you doing? Like, well, Bulgarian split squats, trap bar deadlifts, really heavy stuff. Like we're doing cleans, we're doing power cleans, like super athletic movements, we're doing pliers, we're doing all this great stuff. I said, what about deep squats? Any kind of deranged motion? How about couch stretch? You do couch stretch? What about Jefferson curls? What about cable pancakes? See, good mornings? No, it's none of this stuff which is actually the long range, which is actually going to create a mobile body and not just a strong one. Like we don't want strength in just one range of motion. We want to balance across all the range of the motion. If you don't understand what I talk about when I say short range, medium range, long range, the short range is where, if you think about, for example, a leg extension, like that's super short range because at that top of the motion it's hardest and the muscle is the most flexed. When the muscle is the most flexed, that's that short range of motion. But if you think about something like a reverse Nordic, at the bottom when the muscle is lengthened the most, so it's got full stretch on it, that's when it's the hardest. So couch stretch, super lengthened. It's a really light version of long range, but people can't even get into that. I couldn't get into that, and no wonder we see so many quad tears. Like, I want people to be banging out reverse Nordics. I want people to be doing this elite stuff, because if they are, they're going to be so much more protected. I can bang out the reverse Nordics now, and I haven't had any issues in my knee after 5 years of knee issues, and I'm super mobile, super strong in different ranges of motion. The one that I'm probably weakest on is the cable pancake. So it's like, okay, cool, like I'm gonna focus on that the most right now. And the thing is, with that, I know that because I'm weak in the cable pancake, I've had a few groin tweaks here and there. It's like, well, what if my cable pancake was all the way to the ground? If it was, like, would I be getting those groin tweaks? Maybe not. The long range allows us to be more resilient against these kind of injuries, more able to do the pliers, more able to play our sports without any kind of injuries. It's the real, like, kind of tissue remodeling over time is that long range kind of stuff. This is the structure which I want you to think about when it comes to getting more mobile. So it's the short range pump and then the long range mold. So the short range, obviously we can go super heavy with, like I go super heavy with the step ups. I haven't seen, if anyone wants to go relative strength against me with the step ups, like, be my guest. Like, I haven't seen anyone do it. If you can, like, I'm going to give you a lot of money. So it's like, I don't neglect the short ranges for the strength. I still do that stuff. I do the floating heel Bulgarian split squats. I do different variations of stuff, but I also balance out my body with the reverse Nordics, with the different stuff. So this is the framework. So first is like heat the area. So this is what I mentioned yesterday when we were talking about the blood flow. If we get heat to an area, we can think about it like metal. Like, if you heat up metal, you can then bend it easier and actually make it stay there. If we get heat to the area before we go into like the long range stuff, where we go into deeper range of the motion, this is going to allow us to get deeper, to remodel our tissues even more. So step one is then heat to an area. It's the short range stuff. For example, if you look at the band and knee extensions here, this is getting so much blood flow to my quads, to my knees. If I was then to go into a couch stretch after this, woo, we're absolutely rolling, boys. The second thing then is the light versions in the long range. Like, you don't have to do the stuff which I'm telling you, which is the extreme stuff, straight away, because I wouldn't have been able to do it. Like, my couch stretch, I could barely get up. So we have to go from whatever level that we have without forcing our body into positions. We want to be able to control the range of motion. If we can control like a lesser range of motion right now, that's the range that we have to go in. We don't want to force ourselves into more of a range of motion and actually injure ourselves. Again, for example, for the front of the knee, we have the heat to the area with the band knee extension, and the light version of like a couch stretch kind of thing, where we're lengthening out that tissue after. And then over time, we then progress. Like, this is the long game. You're not going to get to the reverse Nordics in a couple of months. Like, that's just not how it is. Obviously, you can do the reverse Nordics to a very regressed level. And again, it's in the light version of it, but you have to find out where that is and not push for anything crazy. So with the long game, we're talking a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Like, you need to be thinking in bigger time frames. Obviously, you can make loads of progress in small time frames, but the elite stuff that I do didn't come within a few months. So this is something in life in general. Like, you need to learn delayed gratification, doing stuff over and over again for the benefit in the future. I don't want to do the stretching. I don't want to do the different stuff every single day, but I do it because I know that my future self is going to thank me. Like, I don't have any injuries. I don't have this. I don't have that. Do the hard stuff now, because you either choose to do the hard stuff, or the hard stuff comes from life. Like, I can either choose to do the mobility work, do the strength work, or life will give me an injury. Like, that's just how it is. So either you control life or life controls you. Okay, cool. So this starts to apply these frameworks to the different areas that I'm talking about: the calves, the hips, the hamstrings. So for example, for the calves, the first stage of that short range pump, this calf raise in this top portion, either mid-range where it's just off the floor, not off a stretched platform like this, or even decline. If we just get that top range of motion in the calf, get loads of blood flow. Like, if you go into a tib raised position on the wall and then just do your calves, that's a short range version of a pump to the calf. So we're getting loads of blood flow there. Then the second step, which is the light long range, is then a slant calf stretch. It's not crazy weight, but it is the long range stuff. Like, it is getting that stretch down the calf. So if we pump the calf before and then do the light long range, which is a slant calf stretch, our calves are going to start feeling less tight. Then over time, we want to work to the point where we can do these full range of motion calf raises. Like, in this bottom portion here, I'm trying to get as much stretch as possible down here. I'm flexing up the tibs, flexing the opposite muscle, and trying to get that stretch down the calf. And then we're building strength there. Like, now I'm doing like over 40-50 kg on these straight leg calf raises. And it's like, yeah, like, those are the standards we want to get to. We want to get to the point where we can use the full range of motion and go super heavy, super strong. And this is the framework that works over and over again with every single joint. But don't just jump to the high weights. Go from body weight or even assisted to then loaded, and then progress over time. Don't just jump into the crazy stuff. Then let's have a look at these principles for the hamstrings now. So the short range pump is going to be the banded hamstring curls, or just just a normal leg curl in general. That's going to be short range of motion. That's going to be flooding loads of blood in there. Want to do it for high reps. Like with the banded leg curls, I like to get people to do 50, 100 reps. And then the light long range is going to be the elephant walks. We're lengthening out the tissues behind the knee with these, but it's nothing crazy. It's just body weight. It's just using your own quad strength to be able to lengthen out that back of the knees. And I've dealt with loads of people who have pain in the back of the knee, and everyone's like, I actually had a pro footballer that was dealing with pain in the back of the knee since his meniscus injury, and he was like, oh, like this pain in the back of the knee, like my physios can't do anything about it. Like I think it's just going to stay there for whatever. Like I think it's whatever. Like, I was like, nah, like we can try some stuff. Like he was like, yeah, no, I know you can help with my knees, but like I don't know if that one can be helped. So then I get him in. Within a week, we do like this kind of progression. We don't get him to the extreme standards. It was only a week, but we done like the short range to then the light long range, and he was like, literally after like 3 sessions of it, it just went away. And I was like, yeah, well, you said that this was going to be there for like months or years or just forever, whatever. And we literally got rid of it within a little bit just by knowing these principles, knowing the short to long range stuff. And obviously, that's not going to be the case for everyone. A lot of people are going to have to get to the elite standards. But I've seen it time and time again where people have this kind of pain or something in the back of the knee, and it's just the short range blood flow, and then the long range, and it's gone. It's amazing. So yeah, those are the 2 first ones, which is short range pump and hamstring, and then elephant walk. And over time, it's the Jefferson curls and the pike. Like here, this is extreme long range. Like the long range is probably the Jefferson curl because like the feet are flat and you're getting the stretch down the hamstring. But now, like even Jefferson curl is extreme long range because you've got this joint in the back. You got the glutes lengthening, you got the hamstring lengthening, you got the calf lengthening, especially if you put your foot up on a position like this. There's no one kind of doing these standards. Like I've never seen anyone hit a single leg pike with 50 kg. I'm 61 kg or something, so it's nearly 100% body weight. It's like 80-90%. I don't know the stats right now, but there's no one doing these kind of things. And is my hamstring going to be more protected because of it? Yes. Is the back of my knee going to be more protected because of it? Yes. But did I get here in a week or a month or 2 months? No. I was doing Jefferson curls for like 2 years before I got to the standard. So then we look at the hips, and this is a different kind of joint. So when we look at the hips, there's 4 real areas for this, right? There's the inner, there's the outer, there's the front, and then there's like the overall or the back. And then like you kind of have like the above the hips as well. So let's just take each one how it is. For example, the inner is going to be that inner hamstring, that groin area, the adductors, the short range. Like the same principles apply no matter what kind of area you're looking at. And I will go through each one of these and just give some slight examples. So for the inner, for the short range stuff, it's the cross body banded adductions. If you're doing those like super high rep, I know you can't see me doing them right now, but look it up. If you're doing those super high rep, that is going to get that blood flow into that groin area. You could even do like, it's a similar thing of like the Copenhagen, but it's like with a band and you're standing up. Or you could do adductor sled where you're going sideways with the sled. That's also going to do the similar thing. For like the inner groin, it's going to be the standing pancakes, the cable pancakes. If you can get to elite standards with those, that's going to be the long-term play. For the light long range, it's going to be seated butterfly stretch. That seated butterfly stretch, you can go super light. You can even use your hands to push down. That's going to be the light version of it. So it's like the pump is either the sideways sled or the banded adduction, and then the light long range is going to be the butterfly stretch, and then the overtime standards is going to be the cable pancake or the standing pancake. Then we have the outer. So this is everything down the outside, the glute med, the IT band, the stuff on the outside. All the pump for that is going to be the opposite of the adduction. It's going to be abduction, so it's taking the leg away from the body. So if you think about the clamshell walks, like this is one of the only times where it's good, is where you're lighting up that outside, or you can do it with a band, but it's taking your leg away from your body. So that's the first step with a short range pump, high reps of that. The second is then going to be a light long range version of something. So we can look at the 90-90 stretch. If we're getting into the 90-90 stretch or the pigeon stretch, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be the light long range for the outside of the knee. Then over time, you really want to work to the point. It depends person to person, because I have seen a few people get injured because they push too hard too soon. But the incline pigeon with some weight over time, but the incline pigeon in general, where our stands head to foot, that's one that I do like to see people get on. But again, the same with any of these things with the long range. It's like, take your time, because if you rush into it and think, oh, I want to hit these standards, then you're going to get injured to a certain extent. So then 3, we have the front, and we actually have examples for this one here. I've got some videos. The front is obviously the hip flexors. It is the quads just in front of the hip. Really short range is gar hammers, or we've even got like straight leg raisers, that kind of stuff. And then the light long range for this is going to be the couch. This is even like better standards because I'm getting my back to the wall, but you can even start like down here, like start wherever you want. Don't push through it, only control the range that you can. So that's going to be the light long range. And then over time, the progression to that is then reverse Nordics. Like if people are banging out reverse Nordics with no kind of hip fold, just that hip extended, then the quads are going to be amazing. So that's the front. And then you have the oval, which is all back, which is, I love this thing. Like, this is probably the best exercise I've ever seen. So you see in this, we're getting the inside, we're getting the outside glutes here, we're getting the back with the glutes, we're getting the above with the low back. The only thing that we don't really hit is that front of the hip. To be honest with this, I guess you get it a tiny bit as well. Mainly you're getting the other three. Every single thing can be regressed. Like if you regress the seated good morning to no bar on back, literally just your body weight, that's going to be a light long range version of it. And then you go to, like, you start building the weight, you start building the range. You can even bring the incline bench up to regress the actual range of motion. So it's not like the extreme levels of like the reverse. Even if you think about how extreme like a reverse Nordic is, if you can do a full one, you can literally move about a centimeter and that's still doing a reverse Nordic, but it's just a regress version of it. So every single exercise can be regressed to your level. So then the conclusion is that we train every single range and progress. That is not a word there, but we want it to be to progress over time. And then the sequence is going to be the short range pump, the light long range, and then the heavy long range. If you use these over time, you actually take these seriously, you're going to be more mobile than ever. I can do crazy feats. I can do the Jefferson curls, I can do the seated good mornings, the couch, or reverse Nordics, all different kinds of stuff, and my body's so mobile and more resilient because of it. And that's where I want you to get to. So obviously, again, what we have for you is free. We have stuff for every single level. We have free ebooks for people that don't have any money. We have low cost programs, which is what I would have wanted when I was 18. I probably could have spent 50, 100 quid on a program to actually help me to be able to help my knees. Then if you're really, really serious, the one-on-one coaching, like I say, the best thing you can do is invest in mentors if you are super serious about your results. If you want to get back to football, if you want to fix your knee injuries, if you want to do different stuff, invest in someone that's going to help you to be able to get there. I've invested so much in mentors and it's been the best thing. So all of these are going to be in the top link in the description, but I very much hope this video helps. If you've got any other videos that you want to see, drop in the comments down below. This has been a slightly long one. It says 22 minutes, but once I edit it, probably be less. But yeah, day 3, baby. Let's go.